Hello and welcome to our new weekly video series, Make It, Own It, Work It. Today I am going to be walking you through how to make your own bath bombs at home using some pretty simple ingredients. Today we are using baking soda, cornstarch, and citric acid as our dry ingredients. The recipe that is, I'm using the basic recipe that's the first recipe on the website that is linked in the description. I've halved the recipe today because I found that with the molds that we're using, a whole recipe makes about like almost 10 bath bombs, and I don't quite need that many. So you can go ahead and use the full recipe, but we're going to use a half one today. I've already pre-measured out the ingredients. I have 1 cup of baking soda, and I have half a cup of cornstarch, and I'm going to go ahead and put those into my larger bowl. The recipe does say to go ahead and whisk them together, but I don't have a whisk, so I'm going to be using a fork. The idea is just to make sure that everything is evenly incorporated and like fully incorporated, so there's no lumps and there's nothing that like obviously says these items haven't been mixed together. I'm going to go ahead and throw on my mask because the cornstarch is very fine and the fine dust particles make me sneeze and they make my nose itch. So just to add that little bit of protection, I'm going to throw on my mask for the stirring part of this. And hopefully everyone can still hear me. I'm very loud. There's no reason why you guys shouldn't be able to hear me. Just giving this a quick stir. And then when everything looks fully incorporated, we're going to go and add our wet ingredients. We are using vegetable oil, 3 teaspoons of vegetable oil and 1 teaspoon of water. I already have that in the cup. And this liquid stage is also where you're going to add any coloring, and it's where you're going to add any essential oils or other scents that you want to add. So I decided I'm going to do lavender orange. I just have a couple little essential oil bottles, and I'm going to just dump in about 10 drops of each. Now I'm using lavender and orange because I happen to like the way that they smell together. If that's not a smell combination that you enjoy, you can pick whatever you want. There's no real reason that I chose these other than I find them pleasant. I'm also going to add a couple of drops of food coloring. Well, that's why we're not scripted, folks, and that's why I wear an apron. So you're going to see some measuring after all, because I have to read to it. All right. So, like I've said, teaspoons. Okay, teaspoons of oil. So 3 teaspoons of oil and 1 teaspoon of water. try with the essential oil one more time. Okay, essential oil added. We're adding a couple drops of the food coloring. And then I like to give it a little swirl in the cup. That's one of the easier ways to get it all mixed in. I'm specifically using a cup and not a bowl to mix the liquid ingredients because you have to pour it in very, very slowly into the dry mixture. And I found that a cup gives me significantly more control over how much goes in than a bowl would. The first time I tried making this, I used a bowl, and I did pour in too much of the liquid too soon, and it kind of caused a disaster. You need to incorporate it very, very slowly so that you don't activate the baking soda and stuff and it starts fizzing too soon. That's not what you want. So I have a spoon here, and I just sort of spoon the amount in. And you can see little lumps of the color in there, and that's how you know how much you've mixed in. This isn't going to change the color significantly because I didn't use a whole lot of color. I didn't really want a whole lot of color. I don't want to turn into a yellow creature when I take a bath. So I just used very little color, but again, that's up to you. That's something that you can modify. I don't know how closely you can see any color changes because it's very small. I just put like one little scoop in so far, but I anticipate you'll see some color changes soon enough. I don't normally make bath bombs with color just because I prefer them to be plain and simple. But that's up to you. I mean, there's recipes that allow you to add in glitter and allow you to add in a lot more color. So you can definitely like have fun with this and make it your own, or if you're making them for gifts or something like that, you can definitely split the batch and make multiple colors so that you can customize it for whoever you're making it for. Or if that's multiple people. So I'm trying to do this as quickly as I can without doing it too fast because like I said, you have to add the wet ingredients very, very slowly. Yesterday when I made this, I did not go slowly enough. I was using a bowl and that resulted in this mess. The bath bomb fizzed very slowly outside of water, and it is both wet and crunchy at the same time, and certainly not the texture that we're looking for. So definitely this is a project where you need to have a little bit of patience and be willing to work through the process. And even through the mask, I can smell the lovely lavender and orange color. Bath bombs are such a nice little like way to sort of, I think, treat yourself to a comfy bath. Because I always had trouble like with bubble bath, liquid and stuff, doing the right amount, and a bath bomb is nice because it's all pre-measured for you. So you just toss it in and let it do its thing. And then it's lovely, just like that. I don't know if you can see any color changes now. Like it looks more yellow to me, but I don't think that's showing up very well on the camera. It's definitely not white anymore. And I keep swirling the glass because I want to make sure that it all stays pretty evenly incorporated while I do this. And just like before when we were incorporating just the dry ingredients, you want to make sure it's evenly incorporated and that you're getting rid of any like giant lumps that you're finding. So one of the ways that I do that is I'm taking the fork flat and I'm running it along the sides and the bottom to sort of smash anything that it comes across. And I'm turning the bowl as I do that to make sure I get all of the areas. And like I said, this is like a project with patience. This is the most time-consuming bit of it, where you have to actively be doing something. The bath bombs will have to dry, and that actually takes the most time, but you don't have to sit there and watch the bath bomb dry. You can go and do other things while that is taking place. Just generally go about your day. So because there is a dry time, this isn't a last-minute gift that you can do. You'll need at least a day for it to dry. The appropriate drying time is about 24 hours. So if you are doing this as a gift, or if you are hoping to take a bath tonight, that's probably not going to be, the bath bomb is probably not going to be ready for you. And then if you feel so inclined, you could also do some of the mixing by hand. Your hands aren't going to stay perfectly clean because you do need to check the texture and make sure that you've added enough liquid ingredients. Because when this is all said and done, it should have the texture of wet sand. It shouldn't feel wet at all, or it shouldn't feel really wet. Like a little bit of dampness is okay, but it shouldn't feel like soaking wet or anything. But it should have the texture and consistency of wet sand. So that was the last bit of the liquid. I'll be done mixing this up shortly. Alright, that looks pretty mixed up to me. And I think the color is obviously different at this point. It's not a very dark color. It should be like, it should appear lightly yellow on your camera. I'll compare it to a different one that I did that's just white, so you should be able to see the color difference more clearly. But now that we've incorporated the liquid ingredients and our first 3 dry ingredients, now we're going to give it a little bit of a feel. It should have the texture and consistency of wet sand. It's just running through my fingers like that, but it doesn't feel dry, it's not sticky, or anything like that. And then if you happen to find lumps of liquid, you can go ahead and mush those up with your fingers so you don't get weird lumps of color when you take a bath. All right, so now we're gonna add our citric acid to it. The citric acid is gonna help it fizz. And it also acts as a sort of natural preservative, so that all of the ingredients last a little bit longer in your bath bomb and however you choose to store it. Just making sure everything is nicely incorporated, that you can't see any lumps of pure white, which would be the citric acid, that everything is just all smooth. And that's what mine looks like with everything sort of all incorporated. I'm going to go ahead and take my mask off since I'm done with the stirring bit. And I really only needed it for the cornstarch. So now we are going to be spooning our bath bomb mix into a silicone mold. You can use hard plastic or metal molds. They do sell those specifically for bath bombs. I've seen people use spherical ice molds to make them as well, but I think a silicone mold is pretty simple. You just fill them up and then you wait for your bath bomb to dry, and then you can enjoy your bath. So with a silicone mold, it's just a matter of spooning it into the mold. Make sure you guys can see that. And then sort of making sure that you're spreading it out into all the places of the mold. I found that like you should pack it pretty firmly into the mold, which takes a little bit more than I first thought, but the batches are pretty big, so it can sustain that. These are probably a little bit smaller than a spherical mold would be, but I still think it's a really good size for a bath bomb. So just after every spoonful, I'm going around the little mold and I'm pushing down firmly with a spoon. It should look very packed in there. It shouldn't be loose. And then if you're finding that there's like nooks and crannies, I just take the other side of my spoon and I push it in with that. And that gets me a little more depth, because the wide end of the spoon doesn't always get into all of the little curves of everything. This whole room smells like lavender and orange right now. So again, make sure if you're adding scent that it's a scent that you like, because you will smell it. The whole room will smell like whatever scent that you've made. I'm not going to sit here and fill all of these molds during the live video, because that would just take way too long. That seems a bit excessive to me, but I like to make it flat and smooth at the top, and it's going to feel like packed wet sand. If you've ever made a sand castle, the way the sand fills after you turn it over, and it's damp and it's tightly packed, that's exactly how this should feel to you. Reminisce to childhood, or if you're young at heart, reminisce to the last time you made a sand castle. I recommend doing that anyway, because it's still fun no matter how old you are. And then just pack it in there tightly. And then once the whole mold is filled, once you've used all of this mixture, just set your molds aside and leave them sit there for 24 hours. There is a difference in texture. It will be dry. It can be crumbly. They're not a sturdy product, so don't go tossing them at people unless you want a shattered bath bomb. So these are some that I made yesterday, and they've been drying about 24 hours. These ones are a little more crumbly than some of the others. And I think it's because of the mold that we used. This one's very wide and more flat instead of deep. So we've got to be a little extra careful with this one. So this one had a little rose. I don't know if you guys can see that. Had a little rose pattern. And if you want to compare it to this one, you can see, you should be able to see the difference in color. It's a very stark difference in color. Oh yeah, I can see that on camera. So I used maybe 4 drops of food coloring, and it made a significant difference in the color of the product. So if you're not looking for like a super deep rich color, but you want enough color to be able to tell the difference, then just a few drops of food coloring will do that for you. I'm gonna have the camera swing over to Julie for a moment so that she can show you ways to package and prep completed bath bombs.
Hi, we're just gonna wrap up a few of Giselle's already completed bath bombs. Let me show you one that turned out particularly lovely. Isn't that nice? So yeah, after they've dried, they're a lot more sturdy. These ones were in a deeper mold than the other ones, so they're holding together a little better. So, let's say you want to give your friend a bath bomb because you want to share all that good smelling awesomeness. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this up in some tin foil first off, because you can see it's a little bit crumbly, and you might not want to litter your friend's house with a bath bomb. So I'm going to wrap this up in tin foil very gently. I suggest putting all the folds on top so they don't turn it over and unwrap it and smush the nice design on top. Alright, made myself a little bath bomb puck. And I chose a couple nice colors of tissue paper. I'm going to start with silver and black. So I'm just grabbing the 2 pieces of tissue paper and laying them one right on top of the other. This is how my mom, well, my honey's mom, but now my mom as well, wraps Christmas gifts, and I always get excited when I see this because I always think it looks so pretty. So I've got my 2 pieces of tissue paper. I'm going to set the bath bomb in the center, and this is the super complicated part. Not complicated at all. You just bring them up like so, like they're a little flower. Ta-da! You can give it a little twist, or you can just squeeze. In this case, I'm going to just squeeze because I don't want to squish the bath bomb in there. And I picked a nice gold ribbon to pair with this because I thought it would set off the colors. If I can find the end. Maybe the gold ribbon doesn't want to be part of the example. Alright. Nope, can't find the end still. My handy dandy scissors. There we go. Alright, now that our gold ribbon has cooperated, select a couple different colors of ribbon if you want to make a bigger tie, but for speed's sake right now, I'm just going to go with the one. I don't know if you can see that on camera. Alright, I'm just going to do a regular tie your shoe knot. I'm going to start with a double knot, just so the paper doesn't slip through there, the tie doesn't get loose, and you lose your bath bomb. Going with the tie your shoe knot. This is exciting. Alright. package like that. It kind of looks like a fancy turnip. So I think we're going to pan over to Giselle. Here's our completed gift bath bomb. Oh, I think she's got a lovely one.
So this is the same rose one that I showed you before, but I also wanted to show you that this is the exact same recipe that I showed you today. I just have the recipe today, so this is the full recipe, but the effect is going to be the same because it's all about the ratios. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what that's going to look like in water. So normally you would do this in a whole bath, but all we have is a pitcher. We can't get a bath into the library, so I'm just going to set this into...
Oh, look at that fizz!
And if you, I don't know if you can hear it, but it is really aggressively fizzing.
You can see the water turn milky. Is that all the ingredients? Just
Yeah, the water is going to turn milky with all of the ingredients, with the baking soda and everything like that. So baking soda is supposed to be good to bathe in anyway. I think it's got some anti-inflammatory properties in it. So there's nothing in here that's harmful at all. It should just be a very relaxing bath with the oil in there. Your skin should feel soft, holding in the moisture, and all of that. And the fizzing will be nice. It's like bathing in sparkling water or something. But there you go. That is our bath bomb. I hope that you guys have lots of fun. I hope you make them. If you make them, go ahead and post pictures and or comments below, and we will love to see them. We want to have that conversation with you. So please, please, please share any pictures, share your results, share the happy smiling faces. If you want to throw it in the bath and take a picture of your bath, that's up to you. Just know, like, in the bath photos, like, we're okay with that. Just, like, show us what your water looks like. But yeah, have a great day. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week.